Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about gaming, fatherhood, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. I'm Trevor, and I have a 3-month-old. 4-month old. He's 4 months old now.
I'm Gavin. I have a 2-month-old.
I'm Jeff. I'm going to stick at 2.5 and 5-year-old.
Those are the ones you're going to go with?
I'm not counting months.
Oh, man, I can't stand when people count months past a year.
Like 39 months? Oh,
Yeah.
Makes sense. 39 months. What?
I love it when they try to do weeks past a year.
Oh,
There's 73 weeks.
You're kidding me. You've never heard that. Are you serious?
No, I'm totally making that up. I guarantee you it probably exists somewhere. Probably like in some high-end neighborhood.
I believe it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A gated community. Somewhere in a gated community, there's a 4-year-old whose age is still being referred to in weeks.
In weeks, yeah.
Yeah, the kid's name is Chester, and
Yeah.
385 weeks old. It's very...
Yep.
No, but I've heard some people go like he's a 74-month old.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, what am I?
74 months. Why are you? Like you can group those into clumps of 12 and just shave it down a bit.
Yeah, like, I've heard, but that's an exaggeration. But I've literally, honestly, heard up to a 40-month-old.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, it's like, are you holding on to him as a kid? But he is one.
Yeah.
No,
I think
like-
that's some issues about the parent being able to let go at that point. It's like it's a kid now. It's not a baby anymore. It's a kid. Your child is growing. It's natural. It's good. It's great. But you can now refer to their age in years, and they can consume more than breast milk. So let's just move on.
Yeah, man, it's so bizarre. But
Yeah. But everybody has like their thing, and I think sometimes like everybody parents differently, and sometimes it can seem pretty bizarre. But when you are referring to increments of time, sometimes it's good to use the social norm. It's the same as like we don't refer to certain measures of weight in stones because people are just used to kilograms or pounds here in Canada. So
yeah, see, I don't mind like the teach their own as far as parenting. Like I'm down with that, but when it impacts me, where I'm doing mathematical
when you have
gymnastics
to
to try
carry
to
the yeah.
1, 2.
yeah. It's like, damn it, man, I'm tired. I don't have time for math. Just tell me how old this kid is.
Like, I'm happy that your kid is so many lunar cycles, but I don't know what that equates to in normal measurement of time. Yeah.
Oh, so it should.
Yeah. This is Stuart. He's 18 solstices old.
It's half a decade.
Oh man, so yeah, it should be noted that for the first show ever, I don't have a coffee, and both Jeff and Gavin have delicious coffees.
Delicious.
Yep. And
It is
we're gonna
killing
sip
me.
on these things the entire time, and just we'll all watch Trevor squirm.
Every 10 seconds.
Of the three of us, I think Trevor is also the one with the strongest biological connection to coffee.
Addiction.
I think that's the street term for it. Yeah.
Is there a
Wedding.
polite way of saying addiction? I have an emotional connection to it. I have a mental a mental connection to it. I have a physical connection.
As a dad, you have
Right
to.
now, you don't have a physical connection to it, and that's why you're so grumpy.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so tired, is what I am. Wow. Yeah. So
Did you get any recovery over the last few days?
I mean, much like we lamented on the last show, like God bless partners, and my wife has been an absolute treat and just been treating me so amazingly, letting me get naps here and there. But just I got better and I got better, and then I kind of slacked off on the care, and I proceeded to just get much worse immediately. So it is, yeah. I am worse for wear. We'll put it that way. Yeah. So
One of the reasons why I'm still very happy that we do this by proxy.
yeah, we'll just 2 hours of travel every single week for this
So we can all
fine
get
program.
sick.
Oh yeah, then that's part 2. Y'all get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say like interesting experience happened last week when I was gaming, and specifically like I ruined my chance at gaming, where old gaming habits came in to just ruin an experience that I could have had. And so this is still within Batman Origins. It's probably going to take me a while to get through it at the slow pace I can actually dedicate to it, but my old completionist habits came to bite me because I was looking at one section of the map and it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna get all of these things. Let's just see what it's like. I'm gonna fix all these towers. I'm gonna get all these data ones. I'm gonna get all the Joker stuff. Just one section. We're gonna see what that's like. Clear it out. Ultimately, if the reward's good enough, then fine. I'll put in that time. And it got to a point where there was one of the Joker secrets, and it's like you had to rappel down this thing, run across this, jump through 6 hoops, kill 4 of the guys, jump back up within like 20 seconds, or you miss it. And like I had to like go through all these online tutorials about how to do it, and I failed it like 2 or 3 times in a row. And I'm like, why am I doing this? This is miserable. I've wasted what could have been a very enjoyable beat down hour pulling my hair out, desperately trying to get this stupid Joker trophy that I don't think I'm going to finish all of them anyways. Like, what am I doing to myself? It just like shut down the computer and left. Like, that was all the time that I had to play. So just old habits coming in to completely ruin what could have been a very enjoyable gaming experience. And then the baby cried. I had to leave. It's just... But it's like those moments are now like because of that responsibility. Like those moments are so like precious. Like you just can't. It's funny. Like there's almost this pressure to enjoy that moment of gaming. Like you almost have to plan it out in a sense where it's like, you know, I know that I can get in, play this, enjoy it, and then once I get interrupted by baby duties, it's not going to matter. Like I'll feel satiated. I don't have to, you know, go away feeling bad for what just happened.
Speaking of baby duties, I'll be right back.
Oh.
Ooh. Gavin has lost the poll a second time.
Ouch.
Man, so what is it now? Like he owes us money or...
Maybe coffee. Maybe we can just turn it to coffee.
Oh, he should totally come deliver coffee.
But I get what you're saying on the whole trying to make your gaming session the best that it can be, right? It's a precious moment. Because you really have to make it count, otherwise you're going to lose it, and you're going to be ending up, you know, spending a couple hours jumping through hoops to try and get a trophy.
Oh, it's so dumb, and there's no payoff. It was all this time.
No.
It's just a couple more percentages off of that like completion bar, and it's like, why am I doing this?
It's hard. I'll say it's a hard habit to break, but it's like literally. I mean, this is such a minor thing in life, but ultimately, for these next years as we're going through this, like this, it's really something I have to beat because ultimately, like that percentage on the save game, it's like, oh, you're only like 14% done, or you're 80% done, and not being finished it. Like that really goes against how I've always played games. Like I really do like to get the 100% to completion. And I just can't. Like I just really have to stop myself because otherwise I'm not going to be enjoying it. I'll be playing this Origin for 2 years.
That humbles you. Because like there's this. I remember I used to be very completionist, and then I played Just Cause 2, and I finished the story. I like destroyed most of the outposts that were around. I collected a good amount of stuff. I did all this stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, man, I wonder what my percentage completion was. And I looked at it; it was like 47%.
Yeah.
And that was after finishing the entire story campaign, all this stuff. I flew under like 80 bridges. I jumped off of most of the buildings. Like, I base jumped everything freestanding. And
off of
like,
goats, off of tractors, like everything.
Yeah, and but then you look at it's like a 400 square mile island. So it's like, yeah, of course there's still so much more to do. And I think it's like a buffet rather than a meal. And like if you start looking at these large open world games as buffets rather than meals, you never go to like, you know, like an all you can eat buffet thinking I'm gonna finish this. There's no finishing it. It's there.
Yeah, not anymore.
And it's like you won't have any room. Even if they don't refill any of the trays, there's just an insurmountable amount of food to consume.
Can we pause here for a second? Has there been a time in your life where you actually tried to finish a buffet? I just want to get that. Like,
I was a very ambitious teenager.
Please, sir, stop! You can't have any more, sir. Run a business. I'm sorry. Continue.
But yeah, no. That I think that's the thing is if you a lot of these games too, it's a game design issue as well because like you're carrying a way of playing that used to be achievable, but now like the way side missions work, and you have games like Assassin's Creed which are quite guilty of this, where the number of side missions and things you can do, where it's like, you know, you're looking after like textile manufacturing. And it's like, why am I looking? I'm a medieval Renaissance assassin. Why am I worried at all about textiles? And it's like, well, so you can get new capes. I'm like, I don't care about the capes. But it's like, because you didn't care about the capes, you'll never get past like 70% completion because there's like 20% textiles, another 10% working with a cobbler, so you get better boots. Like all this other stuff that they put into the game, so that way it does have the content for people who have absolutely nothing else to do and they just want to go at it. And I think it's great because it does make the world believable in the sense of there is all this stuff I can do, whether I have time for it or not. It's the same with Grand Theft Auto. They're very much like that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of these. It's an open world game, and Batman is an open world game, and it's one of those things where it's like, here's your playground, you can do whatever you want. The same with, I'm playing Dying Light right now, and there's all sorts of side missions. Not a lot of weird little side things you can do, but a lot of like fetch quests and stuff like that. And I realize that I'm doing a lot of the same thing, which is just parkour from one end of the zombie city to the other, pick up a box and then bring it back to the guy, and that's about it.
But just think of all the missed like dialogue opportunities though with the manufacturing stuff in Assassin's Creed. Like, these drapes aren't good enough. Sir, what are you doing? Why are you so angry? Let's just say we both like to cut corners. I'm like, stab.
Dad joke.
Stab.
Dad joke.
Dad joke.
We need like a wah, wah, wah every time somebody does a dad joke.
But let's say you 100% that game. Let's say you 100% it. You've gone through Batman. You see the 100 on your, if you play it on Steam or PS4 or whatever, and then they come out with DLC, and that percentage moves back.
So as I said, it's a buffet.
It's not worth it.
Hooray, more
refill
game.
the chow mein, and you have to start over again. Like that's.
Man, I wanted to see. I so badly want to take Gavin to a buffet now, though, and just see. Like,
I can't do that stuff anymore. Those days are behind me.
Hope there's gonna be a lot behind you if you keep up that habit. But dad joke.
Dad joke. I knew it again.
On a dad joke roll.
Get my coffee.
So yeah, quickly, guys. Let's. As per always, how was your week? Both from that was a bit of an update for myself as far as dadding and gaming. How about yourselves? How was your week?
Jeff?
Mine was okay. I started on a couple other indie games. Teslagrad, started that one up. It was kind of neat. Animation's kind of fun. It's kind of like a platform puzzler.
Yeah.
A little bit more relaxing than some of the heavy stuff I've been playing. I did Platinum Rocket League, so speaking of 100%.
Ooh.
But then
we have royalty in our midst.
So I got some sessions in. It was a pretty good week. I got over my sickness from last week and infected everybody else again. So,
but now you're immune. You can just sit back
now
and watch everybody else.
You'd say that. I'm just waiting until next week's show.
Yeah, that's not gonna be good.
That's when the kids bring home the next strain.
No.
Or just mutates in the kid and comes back to you like bigger and stronger.
Well, the kids go to school and they lick the garbage. I don't know what they do. Come back with new bacteria. I don't know what it is.
Lick the bottom of the buffet tray and.
Oh, well, with the pending strike, it's not the cleanest of hallways right now, so you never know.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, good gaming session. It wasn't bad this week. I got a couple new games, new faces to games in at least. What about you, Gav?
I've had a very busy work week. Dad week wise, it's been pretty good. Just kind of we're doing our thing, and she's been doing well. We got a couple decent nights sleep, so that was great. Had some visitors over the weekend, which was also very nice. But there was a deadline for today that I was trying to get a bunch of like concept art and stuff like that ready for. So with the looming deadline, that's usually always like okay, I don't know how much time I have to play, but I did get a little bit of time in here and there with kind of the usual go-tos. I've been still working my way through Dying Light. I'm trying to get that off of my to-do list before November, because that's Fallout, and that's all I'll be talking about most likely until December. Then that's
For the next year.
For the next year.
So no, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Now any I just think about like pending releases. Have you guys? I bought a key for the upcoming Star Wars game,
Okay.
Battlefront, which like the beta is coming on the 8th. I don't know if you guys are looking at that one. And there's also, it seems to be like a pretty big release. There's Battleborn from the same makers of, what do you call it? Borderlands. It's I think it's mostly a player versus player, but there's a whole campaign mode. It basically looks like player versus player, but done a la Borderlands. And then there's Overwatch from Blizzard, like their new P versus P. Like you said, Fallout's coming out. I'm trying to think like some other big releases. It's a pretty like now is the season when they start coming out, right? Just before the Christmas.
Yeah, there's all the. I think there's going to be obviously a Call of Duty of some kind. There's another Assassin's Creed out. There's like your regular players. Like two of my personal ones on the list I'm on is obviously Fallout, but also I really like the Just Cause series, and the third one of that's coming out. So that's the other one that I'm waiting for. That'll be coming, I think December. I think is when it comes out.
I thought that got pushed, but
I hope not. Banking on it showing up.
like
No, last I checked, it was.
kilometers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stupidly large, but no, those are the ones that I'm looking forward to at the moment. So.
I think.
But yeah.
I think I would get I'd get NHL 16. I haven't really got an update for a hockey game since 12, but they don't make any games for PC. Seems like
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like this, sports games, the PC is kind of a bit of a desert when it comes to that. Like they get all the releases on console, and then even some of the PC ports they get kind of. I think there was a FIFA game where the graphics got toned back a huge amount, where it's just you see it and it's like,
PS3
why did you
quality.
down-res? Like PCs are capable of 4K resolution. Like why are you, like it should have more pixels? Why less? But nope, nerfed it.
That's a weird place, and also like the Batman Arkham Knight. I think its re-release is coming out sometime this month because the first release was so unplayable.
Oh, it was a hot mess.
So like, yeah, it's kind of bizarre. Like it's the best of times. As far as like some of the deals and some of the like a great breadth of games that come out, but then it's the worst of times. Sports games, Arkham, like anything that's ported is, yeah, like you said. Two terrible recent examples was that soccer game that was, Xbox 360 quality.
Yeah.
And the mess that was Arkham Knight. Although not quite the mess though. Don't suppose either of you fine gentlemen bought Tony Hawk 5.
No.
No, but I've been loving it on YouTube.
No. Do you remember the graphics? Do you remember when they first introduced it and they had like this weird, like it was a different graphics engine, and all of a sudden everybody complained. And then, a month before release, they're like, "Oh, hey, we got new graphics."
Yep.
That's not.
It just
the
looks
best
like
sign.
such generic, realistic graphics. Like that was the thing too. Is it was the type of real graphics that you see usually bundled with like a dev kit. It's like, hey, so you want to use Unity or Unreal? Well, here's some just placer assets you can use while you build your prototype. And then you can actually hire some artists to make some real stuff. And they're like, nah, we're good. We'll just stick with this.
Some quality control and the bugs.
Yeah, just like,
yeah.
Man, if they had just like, because those games are great, and if they just like played the nostalgia thing properly, where it's just like a super tight, great playing Tony Hawk game, like, yeah, there hasn't been a skating game in quite some time, so it could have been.
Yeah,
a real
I think
good
the last series to actually do it right was that series called Skate. And that one was very well received. It did really well, and I think like American Wasteland was the last Tony Hawk game, and that one kind of faltered. Oh wait, there was also that one with Peripheral that Yeah, it came with
I
a
have
whole
my-
plastic.
It had the whole
It was
skateboard that you can
horrible.
buy.
It was so horrible.
Yeah,
But I heard
it's like you just feel bad for the guy because like the last few things he's done, you're just been like, oh, buddy,
No. Mm.
like you're swinging for the fences, but it's like a wiffle ball bat. Like you're not even. It's like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, so I thought
It's
this.
just
I thought, go
it's
ahead.
like, oh, sorry, yeah, it's just because it was back when it was in its heyday. It was such a fantastic game, and I think that's the frustrating thing for the audience too. Is it's like we know you're better than this. Like we know you're capable of greatness. It's not just watching somebody try and try and try, where you're like, yeah, maybe this isn't for you. And it's like the audience knows that there was something, and they're just trying to find it again, but like maybe it's gone. Maybe it's like, yeah, it's
It was
just
so good.
you know.
It was so good back in the day.
Yeah, it's like a
Even when
high school
AC/DC
sweetheart and
comes
you just
on,
can't connect again kind of thing.
TNT. I immediately think Tony Hawk. It was such a good game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's lost.
and I hope I hope our kids can have that type of. Anybody our age, I think you can say, 007, Tony Hawk,
Yeah.
like Grand Theft Auto 3, like in any general game like that, and they just immediately like, oh man, that was something. Like there's that whole experience, call it nostalgia, whatever you want to call it, but just the games were so solid. They hit at such a perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of summer like nights are just like gaming sessions with Tony Hawk, like the huge move, like how what's the biggest score you've ever gotten? What's the biggest score? Like
Yeah.
everything around it, and that still lives on to this day. Like I really hope that as our kids are coming up and playing games, like there's that opportunity. I'm trying to think about any.
It's difficult though because all of those games you have to remember what the where they were experienced, and it was usually in a friend's basement. Everybody huddled around a CRT. Like it was a more social engagement. Even like the first Halo was usually split screen multiplayer or co-op with a friend in the same room. And I think now because the online gaming is taking such a higher popularity that you can't kind of elbow your friend and be like, yeah, do you remember that time when? It's like, well, no, because we didn't share that experience. It was everybody's kind of on their own, and there is a lot of like Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time, for example, is one where like we're seeing some more couch social games. Towerfall is a great example for that as well. Nidhogg was great. There's games out there that are promoting people doing stuff in the same room, and I think those might strike that same chord, but I think unfortunately that sort of everybody playing Goldeneye together, that's not as prevalent because everybody needs their own account and login so they can customize their character and give them a special cape. Like it's not just about, okay, well, you play Jaws and I'll play Oddball and then let's just go do this thing. That's sort of by the wayside, and I think it might come back. There might be a bit of a craving for it, but at the moment I'm scared for this generation that's just experiencing that time, like their early adolescence, and all their games are like, yeah, you remember that? Yeah, but that 6 months later we got an update and a new one and DLC, and like the secondary studio released the other Black Ops 8, so now we got to play this now, and like there's not enough time for it to steep with the audience either. So I don't know. That's just my rant about it.
Yeah, they're also split across a lot of different devices too, right? So you have them
Yeah.
with mobile device, you have them with iPads, you have them with, virtual realities coming out. Who knows with that? Motion controls, all the other consoles. So it might be a little bit of a different scene when they grow up into it. But I at least know from my perspective, a bunch of the dad group, we get together once a month and we have a gaming night. So we do the couch co-op thing. So we keep
Nice.
that kind of alive. And it's awesome, and you just remember how awesome it was growing up. So I'm hoping that they have that connection in some way, because
Hopefully it's not just nothing but Minecraft and Angry Birds.
yeah,
Like,
more of a social connection, right? And just
yeah.
then you can create those memories versus just creating your own memories in the game. You had someone there with you. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I did hear, and again, it speaks a bit to my ignorance about some of the ages around gaming, but there's a interview I saw recently. He was talking about his, I don't know, I think it was like a 12-year-old, and some other kid came over, and he's like, oh, come check out my Minecraft world, and the other kid came in and like hopped in, and now the two of them were just sitting there jumping around in Minecraft on that one world. Like, oh, it's amazing. Hey, let's add this. Like, yeah, let's go ahead and build it. So, yeah, it's probably, it just needs it's lacking a lot of the physicality at the moment as far as like that presence with one another. But
But actually, as you mentioned that, like that does sound like maybe that's where it exists. Maybe it's in the games that are a little bit more social creative. And even in like, you know, in defense of that idea of online gaming, like I remember having a lot of really good memories of playing Battlefield with a friend of mine who I didn't get to spend much time with since he had moved to another city. But we would hang out playing Battlefield, and we had so many times of like, oh, remember that time we were getting chased by a helicopter? We were on a four-wheeler, it was about to blow up, and I jumped off and hid in a bush, and you died? Yeah, that was awesome. Like, I'm a great wingman, by the way.
Yeah, duly noted.
Yeah, that's true, because I remember playing Quake, like Quake 2.
Yeah.
We couldn't get together every night, so we played online. And
StarCraft was the same.
Yeah, StarCraft, same, Battle.net.
Yeah.
So there were some games like that. But then you would see that same friend, you know, at school or the next day, and that connection might not be there necessarily, but...
Well, they might be doing the same thing. Like, who's to say that the kids playing Call of Duty now aren't hanging out at school the next day kind of saying, I was like, well, do you see how awesome I banked that RPG off the side of a van and took out all those guys? That was awesome. So it could be happening, but it's just, you know, we're not witnessing it because we're not their friends. We're grown adults with their own friends.
We're not buddies. We're
not
not going to be cool
hanging
dads.
around.
I do wonder, like, I wonder if it's something that you can kind of push and not like, I don't like the general sentiment of pushing things on your kid, but the general idea of where the kid says, oh, I'm going to get online and play with, you know, Donald or Daryl. And it's like, well, why don't you invite him over? You guys can play here. It's almost like, you know, at the very least that maybe you can do, if it's possible, like if they live just a couple blocks down, like just enforce that physicality a little bit to try to promote it. Because they wouldn't know any, in some ways I think it's almost like they wouldn't know better. As far as like, oh, it's easy enough just to hop on. There's like 50 friends. And it's like, well, you know, there's a lot of kind of fun stuff that can happen if you're in the same space. And ultimately, without them knowing it, it's probably a little bit healthier to have actual physical human contact as well. So, you know, it could stand to us to say, you know, having had those experiences to say, no, like bring your buddies over, like come have a party here, and everybody bring your laptops or
have a LAN party.
That's what you cool kids like, right?
Have a LAN party.
I think the problem with that, though, unfortunately, is sometimes, aside from a LAN party, is the way these games are designed. So much of the customization and the stuff that you're working towards unlocking is linked to a specific account. So it's not like you can all go and hang out on the same console like Goldeneye and stuff like that. A lot of the things that, like, the gamers today have a lot in store with their avatar and with their profile with these specific games. So for them to play, like at home, they get to play as the character that they built up and customized, whether it be like Destiny or Call of Duty or Battlefield or what have you. As soon as they leave their account login and go to a friend's house, they lose some of that. And I think they're starting to find a nice balance where you can log in, like the cloud storage system, where it's like, oh, I'll log in on your box and we'll play together. And because I've logged in on your box, we can load up my avatar with all of my customization and unlocks. But I think that's the one thing that might be anchoring some kids at home right now from hanging out at another friend's house in the basement, huddled around the TV, is that sense of like, well, if I play at your house, I don't get to play with my character. I have to play with generic character 5. And it's like, I want to play with my customized Master Chief. I don't want to play with just whatever one I get by default. So that could be one of the issues, is that the game design needs to change to accommodate both scenarios.
Yeah, I think it's probably a place where it's going to start getting better. I know Microsoft had some pretty lofty ideas around being able to sign into another Xbox with your account. Yep. And having things kind of sync and bring over. I know that Steam, like I can show up at either one of your houses and just sign in with my account and proceed to grab my game. Now, how much that actually allows you to interplay and like go in between them, you know, that's up for discussion. But it might be something that we see a lot of movement in. To, you know, they've done great leaps and bounds to be able to allow people to not play in the same room. Maybe like next one is, and kind of hopefully for the, and honestly, I guess, you know, I'd say so, and I think I could speak on your behalf to say that I think for the sake of our kids, I hope that there's a bit more of a prompt to get these guys in the same room kind of playing, because there's a lot of fun stuff that goes down with a couple folks playing together.
Yeah, no, I think it's I think there, especially in the indie community, there's still a lot of that sense of games being games and not just video games. Like that, I remember that half of the equation is that they are a game. They're meant to be played. They're a social experience. They're not just an interactive narrative. That there's other stuff going on with them. So I think that that sensibility is still being upheld quite well with indie games, and that industry itself is still doing very well and better than it ever has. So I think that sense will help keep that alive. And then, you see a lot of when I'm at various events here in the city, like I see all sorts of kids playing local multiplayer games at these uh, showcases where it's just a bunch of developers have set up tables with their games and like come have fun. And the number of like 12-year-olds I see just having a blast playing a local multiplayer game is very, very reassuring. That it's like, you know what? No, this stuff is still fun. It's not something that the parents are having to like nudge their kid towards. At the end of the day, it's actually the kid, like, come on, Dad, one more round, one more round. And like, no, sweetie, we gotta go. And she's like, no, 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 just one more round, one more round. So I liked seeing that. So like I've seen it firsthand. It does still exist with that generation, but I definitely think it's something to encourage as well.
Yeah. You could also break a lot of relationships. I remember back in the day, Mario Kart was brutal.
It's the opposite of you.
Segue. Broken relationships and Mario Kart.
Mario Kart was brutal for that. When you got the red shell at the finish line, I swear, that was... You could just hit your guy next to you. Just...
I still haven't talked to John.
Yeah.
He knows
That
what
was
he
the
did.
end of it.
Oh,
All right.
best
So I know
man,
we're a
my
little
wedding, godfather to my kids, gone.
He's out.
Out of the family.
So I know we have a bit of a hard stop today, so I think I will propose that we answer a question that we found online relating to dads and gaming, and get into topics next week. So, as I mentioned, week to week, we're going to be trying to take in questions from anybody if you want to visit our website. But this week we came across an interesting question from the internet. I'm going to
internet.
try to
Internet.
correct for grammar.
Thanks, internet.
Expletive.
Yeah.
Expletive.
Swear word, caps lock.
Yeah, Swedish expletive?
Stop yelling at me.
Help, my son cannot play video games without crying. Hi all, my son cannot play his video games without crying. It's very bad. He gets so very frustrated when he loses, and he throws a tantrum and cries and scares my daughter. He will lie on the couch and cry for 20 minutes and no one can talk to him or even look at him when he gets in this way. Do you guys have any tips or tricks on how to possibly help my son and his tantrums with video games?
Oh.
Yeah, so to start off, I guess I'll throw it to Jeff as the only new dad.
The 5-year-old
with-
owner?
Yeah, the owner of a fresh new 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Or vis-a-vis the only one of us with a kid who can currently play games. Have you experienced anything where a son got upset when playing a game?
He hasn't got upset at a game, but that being said, he can play his 3DS when he does a sheet in a journal, and then he can play his 3DS. So there's a certain power I can hold to the 3DS as a form of punishment, right? So if he misbehaves and he has a tantrum somewhere else, like in the shopping mall or at home or whatever, then he can lose his game system for a day or two, right? So you can kind of withdraw that a little bit. If my son was crying and having a tantrum and throwing a fit for 20 minutes I'm not sure how old the person was in the question, but...
Good question. Let me see if they mention...
22?
22?
Mid-30s.
If they're younger, it might be a good thing to maybe step back from the video games for a bit and kind of figure out what exactly the tantrum is about. If it's about losing, that can apply to pretty much anything, right? If you can, lose in a game, in a video game, you can lose in an actual sport. You have to kind of
that
teach.
kid's in for a treat when the rest of life shows up.
Yeah, so that's a hard one. And without knowing the age specific, if Younger, I would definitely kind of withdraw the video game. Older, I would. There's
I think
an
for the
issue.
for the purpose of the question, I think let's assume it's something in the 10 to 12 range because I think that's probably a bit of a turning point. I mean, if you're throwing tantrums at 16, you got a lot more issues. If it's the kid's super young, tantrums are kind of easy to come by. So let's answer assuming we're looking at about a 9 to 13-year-old. Well, 13 even feels young or old. That's
Yeah, if I pulled that sort of stuff as a kid at 13, I know that would have been, regardless of what the catalyst for the action was, if I committed that sort of tantrum at that age, it would not have gone over well.
yeah. So let's put it at 10 or so.
Yeah, I think
9 or
the
10.
factor is it's
How many months? Sorry.
Jeez, can you say that in months?
yeah. So I think the one thing I that about this scenario that it kind of gets my attention is, like, and I think Jeff touched on it as well, was that this might not necessarily have anything really to do with games. It's just one of the instances where something's coming to light and there's a pre-existing issue with their perception of the world and what is deemed fair and what they are entitled to and what they're not entitled to. Just kind of that idea of, well, I always win, I need to win, and I'm not getting what I should because I'm not getting what I want. And I think sometimes opportunities like with video games would help bring something like that to light before it got too severe.
Yeah.
Like, it is one of those opportunities. Like, games can be very frustrating and can cause a lot of emotional triggers. Like, even when you're an adult, there's times where I've almost snapped a controller in half. I've been so frustrated with, like, one of those puzzle platformers where you're just like, oh, this game's trying to break me.
How many months old are you, Gavin, currently?
So yeah, I think the interesting thing about video games is they can kind of dredge up to the surface something that might be bubbling underneath. That said, I think, yeah, removing the video games by way of, like, well, if you can't play with these nicely, then we can't play with them.
Mhm.
I think that's a very fair way of looking at it. And I think that would also help teach the idea of playing nicely and the idea that playing is a privilege, not a right. I think that's one of the big things too. Is sometimes it's easy to look at gaming as like, oh, well, you got to give the kids something to do, or else we're going to go nuts. It's like, well, yeah, but if the thing that you're giving them to do is dredging up some stuff that's causing some behavior issues, then maybe you need to find a new activity, and they might not like that idea, but you're the parent. You're in charge. You're the alpha. You have to maintain it.
The alpha. Yeah, I remember once I had a relatively young cousin come up to me, and he was asking me to beat a level. I think it was on Spyro on a Game Boy. It wasn't anything super challenging, but he couldn't beat it. So he's like, "Hey, beat this for me." And I remember, and like I'm like, I don't think I should beat that for you. And he proceeded to get pretty upset. And I was trying to reason with him, which terrible strategy with a kid. But I said, like, it's like you just have to. It's okay. You just got to keep trying, and eventually you'll learn, and then you'll be good, and then you can beat the next levels. The thing I was trying to impart on him in as sneaky a way as possible, and my fear was that, okay, I beat this for you. You're gonna face things that are harder than this very shortly. So like you're just like, if you can't handle this, you're not gonna be able to handle the next level.
Like, you're just, you make a great CEO. I can't solve this problem. Somebody do it.
You do this for me.
Yeah.
I appreciate the business spirit he might have been showing, but as far as a gamer,
He's an
had
MBA and shrink.
So I had to I thought, and I think that was kids. I guess what comes to my mind is there's probably some opportunity for prevention in the sense of what type of games they are. So obviously, like, anything that they could avoid that is multiplayer, where other people are going to clearly be better, like much better than them, where it's going to feel frustrating. Because like you said, like, I've wanted to snap my controller too, and especially when you're playing other people who are amazing at it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, cool, I got another turn, dead. Hey,
Spawn,
neat, I'm alive, dead.
By the time you're at the age where you're playing like a game where there is that huge divide between player skill, like, you should have a pretty good grasp on being a good sport. Like, chances are at this kid's age, they're playing like a round of Mario Kart with their friends, or even with their own immediate family. I think there's like with gaming at that age, like the age where like learning how to be a good sport and learning how to win and lose gracefully, uh, that's still in a pretty controlled environment because they're still pretty young and the games that they're playing. Like they wouldn't just be thrown online playing Call of Duty yet. Like that's still years
Yeah.
away.
But even if you think, but you think about things like the, so you know, Hearthstone, a lot of cartoons, like characters, the Super Meat Boy, which is
yeah.
you know, a very like you know very quiet, like cartoony, like fun little hoppy around thing. Like man, like you throw like a 10-year-old against that thing, like although actually maybe they'd be better than I would at it. That's kind of a bad example, but you could see how a kid who's easy to frustration, you give him a game that is just nothing but frustration. It is a game of frustration. Like I think there's a certain level of.
Yeah, but we had to deal with Battletoads.
Oh,
You know,
You didn't have to deal with Battletoads. You had to lose at
Teenage Mutant Ninja
Battletoad.
Turtles.
but that was the thing is like there were games in
water
there in
level.
our generation. See, and you're getting
Yeah.
frustrated just thinking
Hate it.
about it.
Those
So,
goddamn
like-
seaweeds. Oh, I hate that seaweed
But the
so
thing
much.
is that our parents can beat it. You're stuck. You needed to get a game genie and beat it.
Oh, can you imagine your kid, like you give it to your kid now and he just beats it? Like he just beats Ninja Turtles. Like
Blind,
what's what's your problem, Dad? And you're just
Yeah.
I have no son.
I'd be very proud of my daughter if she was able to beat Ninja Turtles in the first go.
Yeah, there's a Facebook post if ever there is one.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying. I just again, I think there's some level of prevention. I mean, we've addressed it in other shows, of course. Like you can't if all
I
the
think it's prevention, but not avoidance. I guess that's the one thing is like find a way to prevent it early, but without avoiding, like, because then it's just like, well, they're gonna run into the frustration of dealing with people better than them at something that they want to be better at. That frustration is going to hit them at some point. So it'd be better for it to be a controlled environment, such as a mutant toad fighting crows, as opposed to like a school project where there's higher stakes or other people involved, where it's something trivial but it evokes the same emotional response. It's a great learning opportunity where you're not worried about repercussions or things at stake.
Yeah, what does that learning opportunity look like? So the kid is playing whatever Battletoads. Let's throw that out, and he's just like snapping he's upset, just absolutely furious. He's lost it. Like what in your minds? Like what is that conversation? Like what is how do you talk him down off of it and turn that frustration with a video game into a learning moment about patience and perseverance? Like however you want to like pitch it.
That's a hard one.
It
Yeah,
is.
right, tricky,
It also
right?
it's based off of the way that you communicate with that kid. Like I know in my case, our child is still way too young for that. In regards to just understanding how our relationship goes in how we communicate ideas and thoughts and feelings. But I think it's just like, okay, we're gonna take a break now. You're gonna calm down, and then once you're calm, we're gonna talk about what happened. Because like doing it when they're in the throes of being frustrated, like the same goes for a full-grown adult. When an adult's in a really bad mood and they're frustrated and they're wanting to throw something through a window, you're not going to get through to them. You got to let them blow off some steam and cool down, and then you get to talk to them and hopefully get some rational thought going.
Yeah. Shut up, Gavin. I am calm. What is?
You will get a tantrum out of it regardless, but
I'm going to invoke a tantrum from Trevor right now.
I'm just sorry, guys. I'm just angry. I still don't have coffee. Don't make coffee sounds. No, I think that's a really damn you both. See mugs flash on screen. I'm just getting like twitches, but
arms itchy for some reason.
No, I think that's really well said as far as like let them calm down first.
Yeah.
So that playing game, they get upset. Let them calm down first, and then after they're done that, then have a conversation about what happened. It's like, look, you got angry. And it's like you either have to just play and get better or not play that game, or then you can have that real talk, and hopefully there's a bit of a learning opportunity. And then I suppose after that it's measure. Like ideally, watch them play it the next time, and if it just keeps happening,
then maybe that's not the game for them. Like, and that's the thing too is to teach them sometimes there's certain pursuits that aren't worth pursuing because there's nothing to gain from them. So, you not only learn how to be a good sport and how to lose gracefully, but also learn the idea of activities and futility. And it's like, this is an effort in, like, there's nothing to be gained from it, so there's no point in putting yourself through it. So it's learning how to let go, and there's a lot of learning opportunities in the emotional frustrations that games evoke.
But Dad, there's just so many trophies on the map, and I just want to get them all.
I have to do them all.
They're put there by frustrated game developers who are trying to meet a quota. It's okay.
I'll pay the $9, so I'll be beating them. Don't worry about it.
Them all. I just want them all. Yeah, that's like you're saying that, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, just let them go. Let those trophies, let them sit there. You don't have to do it. You're bigger than those trophies.
Yeah.
You're Batman. Just
sing the Frozen song.
Just let Enigma go.
Let Mr. Freeze sing the song from Frozen to you.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Horrible. Perfect. Wonderful.
I want to point out, I believe we might have missed the topic again.
Yep.
About backlogs.
Blew it.
This is the second time we've neglected the topic about neglecting games, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
We'll get to it one day. They'll sit up there on our shelves just teasing us.
Yep.
Don't worry, I'm totally gonna play that one day.
It'll
though.
be the
Don't worry
last
about it.
episode. I get like the last.
On our 100th episode special, we'll come back and address everything we've missed.
We'll get distracted.
But we did get a question in, and I think that was fun. I think we all had a learning moment. I got a little frustrated, but I think you guys calmed me down and talked me through it. So
exactly, and now you can go have a coffee.
That's a timeout, Trevor. Go have a coffee.
Yes.
Please don't take my system away. Beautiful. Well, everybody, that wraps it up for this week. We do this show weekly. You can find us on our website at newdadgaming.com. If you have any questions yourselves you'd like to submit, please do. Please reach out to us. Link, subscribe, tell us to your friends, tell us to your kids. It's never too young for them to listen to this podcast. And until next week.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see about my...
There's no swears. We don't swear.
Yeah, we've been pretty good so far.
Have I been good? I don't know.
All right.
All right.
I think you've just been sticking the coffee, so there's been no swears just yet.
Okay. Well, we'll put a parental advisory up if there's whiskey in the mug.
They will just have like a kid squeak or like a rattle go whenever someone like drops an F-bomb or something.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
And the dad joke song. We need the dad joke.
Oh,
yeah. There we go. Perfect.
All right, everyone. So we will see you next week, and until then, I am Trevor, and I have a 4-month-old.
I'm Gavin. I have a 2-month-old.
I'm Jeff. I have a 2.5 and a 5-year-old.
Wonderful. See you next week, guys.
How many weeks was that?
Oh, that's right.
Jeez, yeah. Please keep it to years. Please keep it to years. All right, guys. Have a great week.
Later.